Now I'm going to be showing you 3 different applications for Tegaderm AG Mesh. 2 to a superficial wound. We're going to be using our anatomic model here, and I'm going to be showing you 1 application to a deeper wound. Now first, per your facility's protocol, you would go ahead and set up your supplies in the fashion you normally do, and the other thing you would do is you would select the most appropriate size of dressing to manage the wound that you are going to be attending to. So there's 5 different sizes of Tegaderm AG Mesh dressing, and it's pretty common for facilities to stock more than 1 size. Now, we're going to be focusing on this particular wound that is over the anatomic model's trochanter, and as you can see, it's a superficial, full thickness wound, and so there's not a lot of depth. So what we're going to be doing is, first, we're going to be demonstrating how you apply Tegaderm AG Mesh when the dressing is cut. And for the purposes of our demonstration, I've already prepared the dressing, and I've cut the dressing to the exact size and shape of the wound. And so what I would do is I would first measure the wound, and then I would cut the dressing, and now I need to make a judgment as to whether or not I need to moisten this dressing. Now, if this wound has sufficient drainage that it's going to moisten the dressing, then I don't need to add additional moisture. I can just put the dressing into the wound dry. But if there's any doubt, I'm going to moisten the dressing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the fluids you use to moisten the dressing in just a moment. So I'm going to take my dressing, and in this particular wound I've got enough drainage, so I'm just putting the product in dry. And you can see how I've just laid it inside the wound bed, just gently tucked it in with my gloved finger, and I've made sure that the size is appropriate so there's no overlap on the surrounding skin. And that's important because the dressing is moist, or will become moist as it absorbs drainage. You don't want the surrounding wound edges or surrounding skin to become macerated. Now, if the wound has quite a bit of drainage, which is not uncommon for wounds where you're using a silver dressing, you may want to go ahead and use an alcohol-free barrier film to go ahead and paint the wound edges in order to provide additional protection from moisture. So at this point in time, I'm ready to go ahead and apply my cover dressing over the wound, and I'm going to hold off on putting that on for just a minute because I want to show you another application technique in this particular wound. So say, for example, I don't have scissors, all right? I don't have an ability to cut. I forgot my scissors. Let's just take this piece out, put that here, and say I've chosen a 2x2 size for this wound, but I don't have scissors. I don't have an ability to cut it. You can just, again, place the dressing into the wound, and then what you do is you just fold in the edges, okay? Just gently, again, just tuck them in so it covers the entire wound base. You want the dressing to be in contact with all the surfaces of the wound, okay, in order to come in good contact with that wound bed, all right? And then, at that point in time, you are ready to put on your cover dressing, and with our Tegaderm foam adhesive dressings, it's actually nice because they have very large tabs on. So normally you'd be able to do this obviously with 2 hands because your patient would be laying on their side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently place that dressing up over like so, press it down in place. This happens to be a foam adhesive dressing with barrier properties. So especially if you've got a wound that you're dressing that's vulnerable to contamination with urine or feces, it's very, very good to use a cover barrier dressing. Also, in terms of selecting your cover dressing over your silver dressing, what's going to drive that selection is how much drainage you actually have in that wound. So if there's kind of a minimal to a moderate amount of drainage, you may just select a simple composite or island dressing. If you're using the Tegaderm Plus Pad or the 3M Metapore Plus Pad dressing, that may be adequate. But if you've got a lot of drainage, which is pretty typical of these kinds of wounds, then you want to use a foam dressing that's going to have a lot more absorbency and be capable of absorbing a moderate to a large amount of drainage. All right? So now let's look at another application. Let's say you have a much deeper wound, all right? And let me just get rid of that garbage right there, all right? Move this out of the way. All right, you can see this is a much more serious and deep ulcer representing a pressure ulcer over the anatomic model sacrococcygeal area. Now we are going to want to fluff some wound filler into this wound. All right, and so what we're going to do here is we're going to use a larger size of the silver dressing. And again, you have to make a judgment of whether you want to moisten the dressing before you apply it into the wound or if the wound drainage is sufficient. Again, if you're ever in doubt, moisten the dressing. So what we're going to do in this case, and you can either use your gloved finger or a cotton tip applicator, but we are just going to gently advance this dressing down in. You can kind of see the shelving around the edges of the wound. That's called undermining. All right, and we want to make sure that we tuck this silver dressing into all those areas of that undermining. All right, now, and we're going to just kind of gently fluff it down into the wound. And for example, if you see that I kind of have a little bit of a bulge here, I could have even trimmed some of this dressing off in order to make it more low profile before I put my cover dressing on. So again, you don't want a big bulge of dressing when you're finished, but if this dressing was moistened as I put it in, then it would actually be a little bit flatter. Okay, so now the wound has been filled or packed, as we typically say. You never want to pack a wound very roughly or really push that dressing material in. And now again, we're ready for our cover dressing. And so this is another example of a foam adhesive dressing. We're just going to center it over the wound, press it down in place, all right, and then remove the spoke delivery. And this patient, in this area of the body in particular, has excellent protection now from urine or feces, right? We'll just go ahead and remove those spokes so you can see the finished product, all right? All right, very good. Now, removing the dressing, you're going to, first of all, want to remove your cover dressing, gently removing that from the skin. And if the dressing is still moist, which it should be because the dressing must be moist for the silver to be effective, you're just going to gently lift it out of the wound. If the dressing has dried and is adherent to the wound surface, what you want to do is just saturate the dressing with sterile saline or sterile water and allow that dressing to soften up a little bit and then just gently pull it up and out of the wound and discard it.